guest. Welcome to today's Big Brother 18 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Daniel Gutierrez. Hey, Daniel. And he wants to know if I was on the show and I was competing in a prize and punishment veto competition, would I choose a prize or the veto? And I think that's a great question. I think I would resist the temptations of the prizes and go for the veto, just because I feel like I would really, I would hate myself if I didn't win the veto and then I was in trouble. That would really suck. Also, I wouldn't want my fellow house guests to think that I was, you know, like cocky enough to take a prize. So yeah, I guess I would go for the veto. But let me know what you guys would do in the comments. And if you want to be house guest of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Alright, so eviction is coming up. So yesterday, Frank was trying to lock down some votes for Davon to go home. Frank has really been campaigning a lot this week, and he's not even up on the block. But he was talking to Nicole in the safari room, and he's just insisting that the votes are there to pull this off. He's like, yeah, it might even be like 7-1. Nicole, she's not so sure about that. But she is saying that she does want Day out this week, but she doesn't want to be caught with her pants down. So the votes have to be there for her to go through with it. So she's telling Frank that she trusts him way more than Day. She wants to work with him, but she's also nervous that if Bridgette won the HOH, that she would go ahead and put her and Corey up on the block. And Frank is like, no, that would never happen. Like, Bridgette's going after Zakiya and Michelle. Plus, if Bridgette wins HOH, she's going to do whatever I tell her to do. Which is probably true. So then Nicole was like, I don't think we're going to be able to get the votes because James and Michelle are both really close to Day, and they're not going to vote her out. And then if they don't vote her out and I do, they're going to come after me and they're going to hate me and blah. So Frank is like, yo, girl, chill. They're going to vote with the majority. That's just how it is. So we'll work on it. So Nicole promises that she's going to talk to James about the vote. We'll get there. All right. So then Paulie and James were having a game chat in the have-not room. And Paulie is just, he's telling James the exact opposite of what Frank and Nicole want. He's like, Tiffany's got to go this week. And that's pretty much it. There's no discussion about that. So they move on to talking about the next few weeks. And they're both in showmances, sort of. So they're like, who's coming after the showmances? And Paulie says, well, Frank and Day are both targeting the couples. So he wants to take them out next. First Frank and then Day. And then go for Bridgette. Good luck winning all those HOH competitions. But anyway, they're also talking about how they're ready to get rid of the girls when the time comes. Sorry, Natalie. Sorry, Zakiya. And James tells Paulie that out of everybody in the house, he is the most loyal to Paulie and Corey. I find that very hard to believe. Come on. James is like in love with Natalie. I don't see him getting rid of her, especially over those guys. I don't think so, but he's saying that. So then Tiffany was campaigning to Corey, and Corey's just like, yeah, Dougie, I believe you about all the Day stuff. Like, I get it. I want you to stay this week. I'm totally on board with it, but the votes need to be there because, like, I'm only one person, and with Nicole, we're still only two people. So then they're talking about how Paulie is, like, really holding things up right now, and Corey's like, yeah, Paulie is nervous about you because he's afraid that if you win the HOH, you're going to target him. And Tiffany's like, no. I've said a million times that I'm going after the girls. So Corey's like, all right, well, you need to talk to him and convince him that he's not your target. And then Corey says he will also try to talk to Paulie for her and get some things going. So now it's time for Corey to make his big case to Paulie in the HOH room. It's hilarious. So Corey's just like, man, I think maybe we should keep Tiffany this week. She told me that she's going after the girls. And, excuse me. And Paulie's like, sorry. Paulie's like, yeah, I don't believe that. I'm pretty sure she's going to come after me. Because that's what Vanessa would do. Vanessa didn't go after the girls. And of course, Tiffany's going to play however Vanessa would, right? So then after that, Corey pretty much gives up. That was his whole argument. That's really sad. So then Frank comes in and he is also fighting for Tiffany to stay in this house. So he brings up his usual arguments. He's like, I don't want Day in the jury. She's going to poison the jury. She's dangerous. Now, if Day wins the HOH, she'll put up 2 guys. Tiffany's alone. Day has all these people. So it's like the same stuff that we've been hearing. And then Frank says if he wins HOH next week, he will put up Tiffany, if that makes them happy. I don't think so. But he is practically begging them to get rid of Day this week. I mean, he's literally saying, I'm begging you to, like, side with me on this. And Paulie is just not about that life. He is not changing his mind. He wants Tiffany to go this week. All right, so then Frank and Corey were chatting alone in the kitchen, and they're all whisper, whisper. And Frank is like, so I can't believe that freaking Paulie is still saying that we should get rid of Tiffany this week. And Corey's like, I know, right? So then Frank is like, who cares if Paulie is not in on this with us? We can get the votes. Let's just do it. And Corey's like, yeah, I'm game. What? I don't think that Corey would actually go against Paulie, though. I think he's just kind of like maybe still hoping that Paulie will change his mind. But then Frank touches base with Nicole in the storage room, and she's like, I still haven't had a chance to talk to James yet. He's already had like 50 conversations with Paulie. What are you doing? So then Frank is saying, Corey wants to vote Davon out, and Nicole's like, yeah, I do too. So Frank is telling her Paulie's starting to come around. No, he's not. But they agree that they will vote together on this either way, and they're going to work together in the future and keep each other safe. We've heard these two talk for weeks now about forming a 4-person alliance with Corey and Bridgette. We haven't seen it actually happen yet, but they're still talking about it. So then Paulie and James chat again in the HOH room, and Paulie's like, yeah, Corey before was saying that he wants Davon out this week, but I told him to freaking stay focused because we need to take out Tiffany first. And he just keeps reinforcing that Tiffany's gotta go this week. He's like, yeah, she'd put me up on the block. It's all about Paulie. It's all about Paulie. Like, I get that he's the HOH this week, but how many times has he been like, I'm a team player, I'm a team player? Yeah, that type thing. So then, Frank, what? Oh, they said it's like a win-win to get, I didn't know what I wrote. They said it's a win-win to get rid of Tiffany this week because she's out of the way, and then Day will still be in the house, so Frank will be occupied next week with getting rid of her. Alright, so Nicole and James finally talk, and Natalie is there too because you can't talk to James without talking to Natalie now. So there's a bunch of, I'll do whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want. What do you want to do? What do you think we should do? It's very, what's up, what's up, what's up? So eventually Nicole is like, James, I need you to be for real right now. Would you really be cool with voting either way? And James is like, yes. So then they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And they're talking about how Day is targeting the couples. They don't like that. But then James is like, Day is not going to win a competition. She has not won a competition in like the 2 seasons that she's been on so far. It's not going to happen. And eventually Nicole's like, all right, let's get rid of Tiffany. So Nicole is worried that if Tiffany stayed, she would maybe screw over Corey and Nicole by throwing the HOH competition, and then people can come after them. So she's freaking out about that. So she's like, yeah, we'll get rid of Tiffany. And James said, it'll be good because by getting rid of Tiffany, they will cripple Frank because he's losing a number. It's just going to be Frank and Bridgette again instead of that trio. So then Nicole reports back to Corey that they now want to get rid of Tiffany. And Corey is not feeling this. He really wants to get rid of Day this week. And he's like, do you really want Day on the jury? Why wouldn't she? But Nicole is like, wait, okay. Nicole is saying, this is Paulie's HOH, and he wants Tiffany out. We have to respect that. Really? Since when do you have to do whatever the HOH wants? Really? But Nicole does not want to flip on Paulie and James, sorry, not James, Michelle and Zakiya. She feels like they're really close to Davon. Not Paulie, but the other two. And she doesn't want to upset them and then have them potentially turn on her. So then they go back upstairs to discuss this with James and Natalie some more. again, Corey's kind of pushing for Davon to go, and James is just like, no, Day's not going to win a competition. It's not going to happen. So get rid of Tiffany. Cripple Frank. Eventually, Corey reluctantly agrees to vote out Tiffany. So then Nicole goes to Frank and tells him, like, we don't have the votes to keep Tiffany this week. We tried. And Frank is not accepting that. He is still pushing for Davon to go. And Nicole's like, we can just get Day next week. Like, what's the big deal? And Frank is like, I don't want her Day! So it's still not over. But Tiffany did end up talking to Paulie last night for herself. It really didn't do anything, though. She was just like, I'm not coming after you. I promise. I'll do whatever you want. And Paulie was just like, all right, well, if it comes down to a tiebreaker, like, I'll take all that Day stuff into consideration. Translation, I'm sending your ass home. That's what that means. All right, so today is eviction day, and it looks like Tiffany will be going unless there's some last-minute major flip, but it's not looking good for her. The house guests have some sort of feeling that maybe somebody could be coming back today. There've been a lot of suspicious HOH lockdowns throughout the week, and just like things are not how they normally are with production, so they're thinking something is happening today. And then they were just getting ready for the show, and Paul was cutting Paulie's hair. They had a little Barbie hair salon. It was a mess. Like, it was rough, and I don't know how it's going to turn out, but the way that it was looking before, they should just, like, cut their losses, no pun intended, and shave that shit all down. It's not good. And Zakiya was pissed. She was looking on that whole time just like, her face kept changing back and forth between horror and disgust. I'm not kidding. She looked very concerned. All right, so just some housekeeping here. The feeds are going to be down until after tomorrow night's show, the special Battle Back episode, which means that we will not have a spoiler video tomorrow, but I will be back with more on Saturday, and of course we'll be recapping Friday night's episode. So make sure you check it out, and let me know in the comments, who do you think's going home, who do you think's coming back, and who's going to be the HOH. Alright, so until tomorrow, no, until Saturday, much love.